Good day guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. So in this video we'll be talking more of the elements that are going to be going inside of our head element. And if you could remember, like I said in previous video, that the elements that go inside of the head element won't display on our web page. And before we get started, let's just expand our Visual Studio Code for now to allow it to take up all the spaces. Because after all, we won't be seeing any changes on our web page when we make changes to our code. So, and that's because all the codes we'll be writing for now will be inside of the head element. And like I told you earlier on, all the codes we write inside of our head element won't be displayed on our web page. So just like you can see here, we only have the title element inside of our head element. So now we'll be looking at more meta tags that is going to be going inside of our head element. So first of all, we'll be looking at the metadata. Yeah, let's give this a name. Okay, before I continue with this name you see here is called an attribute. An attribute is an additional information or properties that you can include within your HTML tags. Attribute provides extra details about an element, and they are always included in your opening tags. Just like you see here, we have this attribute inside of our opening tag. So now let's give this attribute the name author. And the next attribute to be having is the content. So the content is the author. I am the author of this web page, so I'll have my name in there. See. Then let's add another metadata inside of our head element. So we have metadata. Let's have it named description. Description. This will describe the web page more in details than just what we have on our head title. Yeah, the title element, sorry. Like you see in the title element, it says my first web page. But this metadata, which is the description, is going to describe the web page more than just what the title element says. So let's look at the content of this metadata. So we say this page contains all the things I will be learning. Okay, all the things that I will be learning how to create as I learn HTML. Step. Then you save your work. Control S on your Windows and Command S on your Mac, and you always want to save your work after every changes you make to your code. So now we've added more description about our web page inside of those metadata we have there. And these informations can be picked up by the search engine when someone would like to know more about our web page. Now let's put something that will be noticed when we go back to our web page, because these metadata we have here won't make any changes to our web page. And this element you'll be having now is the link. Yeah, but it's still going to be going inside of our head element. So you type link, then you click on your tab button. You can see Visual Studio Code already help us write out all the necessary attributes we'll be needing inside of this element. So first of all, we have the rel attribute. This rel attribute is the relationship this particular element has with our web page. And this style sheet is for CSS. We're not talking about CSS for now. So we're changing that to icon. And for the href, this href now it takes us back to the HTML definition we looked at while starting our tutorial. and we came across something like hypertext reference. So this is to reference a resource. So I'll be needing an HTML icon. I already have one downloaded. So first of all, we have to reduce the size of our Visual Studio Code so we can also see our web page by the right hand side. So now I will just have to go to my folder. You can see mine. All I have to do is to drag and drop inside of this folder. Then I go back to my code. Then all you just have to do is to type the name of the image inside of your href attribute. You can see I typed it and it's popped up. So I'll just click on it and I'll save. As I save, you can notice up here beside my title, you can see a little small HTML field icon. That is the icon I just added. So the last attribute to be having inside of this element is the type. Yeah. So the type, and another thing I would like you to know, you can see this code continues to go to my right hand side. To wrap up your code so it does not continue going straight to your right hand side, you click on Alt Z. You can see what just happened. The code went down to the next line so I can see everything. So the last attribute to be looking at is the image slash X icon. You don't necessarily have to have this. Like you saw that the HTML, the Visual Studio Code didn't bring this out for. So you don't necessarily have to have this particular attribute on. Okay, so just like I might have told you guys before, I always like to have my screen display dark. So I would also like my web page to display dark instead of this white and the dark text it's displaying. So to achieve that, I'm just going to paste in a little CSS code inside of our HTML. Then I click on Ctrl S to save. You can see the changes it made to our web page now. But I want to have a separate CSS file and then I link it to my HTML to get the same result. So all I just have to do is to go back to my file tray on my left hand side. Then I click on the add file icon. Now save my new file as style.css. You always end your CSS files with .css just like you end your HTML file with .html. So all I have to do is to go back and copy the codes inside of our opening and closing style tags. So I'll just copy these codes, just the body, and to cut it we click on Command X on Mac, Command X on Mac and Control X on Windows to cut it. Then I go to my style.css and I click on Control V to paste. Then I'll save that. Then I can now delete this style opening and closing tab because I won't be needing it anymore. So if I make save my work now, you see it has gone back to its usual phase. And that's because we've not linked the HTML to the CSS file. So to do that, we just type out your link, then you click on your tab. You can see Visual Studio Code already brought out the necessary attributes you'll be needing to achieve that. So we have rel, we already have our style sheet inside of it. Then inside of our href, that's where we input our CSS file, which is the style.css. Then you click on tab, then you can see the changes now again. So to get this, you just have to link your CSS file to your HTML file, and this is how you're going to do it. So now finally, let's validate our file. I know for sure that we have some errors here. but I won't state it out. I would like us to find that out using our validator. So now you go over to your web browser, you search for validator.w3.org. Then you get to this page. Then up here you click on your validate by file upload. Then you choose your file. I have mine inside of my HTML document inside of my desktop. So I already created a new folder, which is the O2 lesson, and that's what I've been currently working on. So I'll go inside of it and I'm validating my index.html. So I'll click on it and I'll click on open. Then I have it here now. You can see where we have index.html. Then I'll check for errors. Okay, so now the first one says warning, consider adding a lang attribute to the HTML start tag to declare the language of this document. If you can remember, we did that in the previous lesson and I purposely left that so I'll have something to work to. So to do that, you can see our open HTML tag is missing. So I'll just add that HTML, and before I add the greater than sign to close it, I'll input my lang attribute, which is the en for English. Then I'll close this. We don't need it because we already have one down there. So the second error says the character encoding was not declared. Proceeding using Windows 1252, and that is the metadata. The char set metadata. So let's look at it. We have char set, and we know the generally used one is UTF-8. Yeah, so that's it. And the last error says error start tagging without seeing a doc type first. Expected. So this is always expected to come before anything inside of all your HTML file. So I'll have this on top of my HTML file. I'll paste this there. Then I'll save. So I'm pretty sure I already went through all the errors I have here. So let's recheck by re-uploading our file. So I'll click on choose file, choose the file, open, then I check. Now you see document checking completed, no errors or warnings to show. So I would always advise you guys to try validating your code as time goes on. When you write some codes, you validate to check if there's any error, and you must always have your work saved for you to be able to validate your codes. So we've come to the end of this video. Thanks for your time and thanks for your active participation throughout the tutorial video. Don't forget to click on the like button, and if you've got any questions related to this video, you can drop it in the comment section. And I would also appreciate if you subscribe to my channel, and you can also click on this notification bell to get notified whenever I have new tutorial videos on my YouTube channel. Thank you very much. Have a great day.